Hello, and welcome to the third talk in our series on the book of Philippians. This week I'm drawing some thoughts from Philippians Chapter 3. If you've not already read this passage, why not pause the video now and take some time to read it. It'll only take you 2 or 3 minutes and it's well worth the effort. If you remember, like us, Paul is suffering restricted freedom. He's separated from the folks he cares about, and he's writing to them from prison, most probably in Ephesus, but possibly elsewhere. The text doesn't tell us, so we have to try and work it out from other clues in his writings. In this chapter, he starts with an encouragement to rejoice, a remarkable attitude for a man in prison speaking to people who are under the threat of persecution. It's a real challenge to us to stay positive in our current trying circumstances. Christianity is not a pick and mix choice of the nice bits you and I might like to have. If we want to know the good things of Christianity, we need also to be willing to embrace the challenges. For example, what we believe won't always be popular, but the truth remains true. Whether or not people like it, we just need to remain confident that eventually truth will out. Paul now moves on. Some strong words are used here. He warns about people, dogs he calls them, people who are teaching unhelpful things that, left unchecked, would divide and would undermine people's faith in Jesus Christ. Are we like Paul? Are we on our guard about what we listen to and what teaching we absorb? Would it measure up to the gospel that Paul teaches? It's important for us to think about these things. Dodgy teaching tends to come looking and sounding good. Only this week I came across something being circulated that looked great and tempting to engage with, only to find on closer inspection that it was being circulated by someone in a cult, teaching some very unorthodox things. So we need still today to be aware of dogs. We still need to be careful about what we listen to. We need to know what we believe and why we believe it. Next, we see that Paul moves on to talk about how his superb Jewish credentials, his birthright, his deep education in Judaism are all as nothing now. He actually uses much stronger language, but it's all nothing compared with the surpassing worth of knowing Christ. We need to bear this in mind. We need to have the same attitude. We mustn't let anything else become more important than knowing Christ. The temptation to go back to our old ways is always with us. And this is a lesson our current situation brings into sharp focus. God is up to something new, even amidst the current challenges. We must not fall into the trap of looking backward, wanting things to return to exactly how they were before. We need to learn to embrace the new things God is leading us into. Paul's goal in all of this is very clear. He says, I want to know Christ. Yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. Paul is clear. He's not yet attained what he's working towards, becoming like Jesus, even to the point of death. But he's determined to press on to live up to the high calling that we've all received as citizens of heaven. But Paul's thoughts are not about going to heaven after death, but about awaiting the return of his heavenly King and attaining the resurrection from the dead. He wants to live in the new Jerusalem, the new heaven and earth that's to come. Paul's goal should be ours, to be like Christ, and then to be found in that coming resurrection of the faithful. Paul closes this chapter by encouraging us to imitate him as he imitates Christ, and so to move forward together in unity. He warns believers to beware of living as enemies of the cross with a focus on earthly things. Instead, we should live in anticipation of our Lord's return as kingdom people. We mustn't look back, longing for what's gone. Our calling is to move forward in unity. If we find there's disagreements amongst us, we need to pause and take time to be open to God speaking to us, to challenge us and shape our thinking together. We must not let go of the progress we've already made. We need to keep moving forward to become more like Christ, to grow up in maturity. We need to see this current time from God's perspective. It's a time of change. It's not a time of stagnation. Let's embrace this time of imposed Sabbath to learn afresh God's rhythms and patterns for life and prepare ourselves for the new patterns once this current storm has passed. This difficult time is also a time of significant opportunities, a time when many people around us are rethinking their values and reflecting on what's really important in life. We've been given a gift of time to help our neighbours, time for prayer, time to reflect and to think, so that we can emerge from this situation ready to move forward together, refreshed and keen to seize the opportunities around us. Let's make the most of this time. Thanks.